The Unexpected Wedding Crasher series. The bride was stepping into the most important moment of her life when, out of nowhere, an elderly woman crossed in front of her, blocking the camera. Friends and family tried to stop her, but it was too late. Netizens speculated she did it out of jealousy because she never experienced such a moment herself. Another interruption. During the couple's vow exchange, an elderly lady kept wandering in front of the camera, blocking the view. The poor bride looked on in shock, her eyes following the woman's movements. The grandfather who stole the scene. As the wedding doors opened, an elderly man rushed in ahead of the bride, taking center stage. Perhaps he didn't realize who the doors were meant for, but the clip still made its way online, much to his apparent delight. An unbelievable interruption. In another video, an elderly woman seemed to have planned her move. Netizens were outraged, calling her behavior shameless. One commented, "You can't stop someone like this. She was lurking, waiting for the doors to open, and then rushed in like a flash." Others consoled the couple, saying, "People like this can't steal your good fortune. Instead, she just shielded you from misfortune." A disturbing tradition. At one wedding, guests sprayed the bride and groom with colored sprays, leaving them looking like snowmen. "It was the groom's friends," said makeup artist Ms. Ma, "and it made me upset." Another person revealed the groom used to do this to others, and his friends were waiting for a chance to return the favor. Sadly, the bride got caught up in this prank too. Some online commenters noted that the bride should be cautious about the kind of family she's marrying into. They emphasized that someone's personality and behavior can be seen through everyday actions, suggesting that the bride might have been able to anticipate this kind of prank based on the groom's previous behavior. The bride was sprayed with red dye, making her look like a red-haired monster. The groom appeared innocent, but it was unclear who exactly was behind the prank. Netizens were left puzzled, with many commenting, "Where did this happen? You should never marry into a family from a place like that." Netizens shared their concerns. So-called wedding prank is too extreme and dangerous. These sprays are toxic and flammable. If someone was smoking nearby, it could have turned into a disaster. A bit of revenge. In another incident, a lowbrow male guest kept spraying champagne at the couple, completely ignoring their feelings. The bride wasn't having it. She threw her bouquet at him, glaring at him with disdain. The online community applauded her, calling her response bold and classy. The bride's embarrassing moment. While preparing backstage, the bride's friends rushed to tell her, "There's a video of you making faces playing on the big screen in the hall." Though she felt embarrassed, her playful charm won everyone over. The scared to marry scene. During a wedding, the groom dramatically tossed the bouquet, but instead of eager bridesmaids rushing forward, everyone fled. It seemed like getting married was the scariest thing ever. The Falling Down series. The bride shared a video that turned out to be her favorite memory of the day, friends falling and laughing together. Despite a few slips, the atmosphere was full of warmth and joy. Another bride shared, "You'll never know how strong a brand new carpet's friction is until you can't move your gown. Ladies, make sure you practice with your dress before the big day. I did plenty of rehearsals, but the new carpet turned my stunning Pronovia's gown into a dragging mess. My glamorous entrance lasted less than 3 seconds." In China, wedding customs vary significantly across different regions, leading to unexpected situations throughout the wedding process, especially in smaller towns and rural areas. In some rural areas, there's a tradition known as stopping wedding cars, where locals block the wedding convoy to ask for good luck tokens, typically cigarettes or red envelopes. It used to be a simple and cheerful gesture, but in recent years, it has taken a turn for the worse. Some have become greedy, demanding multiple red envelopes without letting up. Others make unreasonable requests or even cause damage to the cars, leading to serious problems. One video shows an elderly woman stopping a wedding car to ask for cigarettes, only to break the Rolls-Royce emblem in the process. The car owner insisted she paid for the damage. In another instance, a group of elderly women in Henan teamed up to demand red envelopes from a wedding convoy.
"Here we go again. You're at it again. You're at it again. Whatever.
A groom's friend said they had already given out red envelopes, and all the wedding candies had been taken. But the elderly women kept asking for more. One even grabbed a family member's clothes, refusing to let them leave.
This is robbery."
Things got more chaotic when an elderly woman started grabbing red envelopes directly from the family, and the scene turned into complete disarray. Real-life wedding fiascos. At a wedding in Xiangqiu, Henan, everything was ready, and the groom eagerly awaited the arrival of his bride. As her car pulled up, she didn't step out. It turned out her bridesmaid was whispering in her ear, telling her to ask for a 28,800 yuan gift before exiting the car. The groom, visibly stunned, to defuse the situation, saying, "I don't have that much cash on hand, but I promise to make it up to you later." While the bride hesitated, her bridesmaid continued to push, insisting, "No way, what if you don't follow through? You must give it today, or she's not getting out of the car." The bride found herself caught in a dilemma, and more than half an hour passed without any resolution. At this point, one of the groom's relatives couldn't stay silent any longer and scolded the bridesmaid. "What does this have to do with you?" The bridesmaid, feeling offended, started bad-mouthing the groom's family, which led to a heated argument between the bride and the relative. The conflict escalated, and the two sides ended up in a physical altercation, with the bride eventually declaring, "The wedding is off," before storming off with her bridesmaid. The bride's sudden decision to walk away left the groom with no choice but to cancel the wedding, much to the surprise of all the guests. It was supposed to be a joyful day, but the abrupt turn of events put the groom in an awkward position, with friends and family looking on. The incident was widely criticized online, with many pointing out that while customs may differ, demands for excessive gifts are not common practice. The bridesmaid later apologized, but later tried to justify her actions by claiming it was a local tradition. However, her explanation did little to quell the outrage, as customs should never disrupt a wedding. The incident was not just about customs, but also a test of the individual's character and trust. While the bridesmaid seemed to cause trouble, the groom saw the situation as a revelation of the true nature of the bride, sparing him from what could have been a problematic marriage. Regardless of what the bridesmaid said, her actions ultimately disrupted the wedding, which is an undeniable fact. After the wedding was abruptly called off, many onlookers speculated whether there was still a chance for the couple to reconcile and reschedule the ceremony. According to follow-up reports, the bride's parents felt her actions were out of line and even visited the groom's family to apologize. However, the groom was resolute, saying there would be no further ties. He even demanded the return of all the betrothal gifts previously given. The issue of dowry payments has always been a topic of concern. While customs and family traditions may vary, once an agreement is made, it should be honored. Making last-minute demands for a large sum of money at a wedding is seen as a breach of trust, which can jeopardize the foundation of the marriage. In another case, on the day of the wedding, the groom abruptly called off the marriage when the bride's family demanded an additional 500,000 yuan as a dowry, claiming it was for the bride's brother to buy a house. The groom, who had already spent 300,000 yuan, was shocked. He asked, "Where am I supposed to get 500,000 yuan at the last minute?" The bride's family insisted that without the money, there would be no wedding. The groom decided to walk away, saying, "I'm done. I'm leaving your world." At another wedding, the groom discovered that the bride had met her ex-boyfriend the day before the ceremony. At the wedding, instead of exchanging vows, he sang a song to quietly end the relationship. The audience, including friends and family, was left in tears as the wedding ended on a sorrowful note. The lyrics echoed his heartbreak.
I blame myself for not giving up on you. I bloom like jasmine just for you, but you watered wildflowers. I gave you all my love, yet you betrayed it. The audience, including friends and family, was left in tears as the wedding ended on a sorrowful note.
At a wedding in Guangdong, a tense moment between the bride and groom turned what should have been a joyous occasion into an awkward standoff. According to witnesses, during the wedding ceremony, the groom was kneeling and holding the vows that the bridesmaids had prepared. He asked the bride, "Which 2 lines would you like to hear?" The bride responded, "I want to hear the whole thing." The groom glanced at the vows and said, "That's not going to happen." Laughter could be heard in the background. Despite the light tone, the bride insisted that he read the vows in full. The groom chuckled, "Oh, then I'm leaving. Bye." Then he stood up, but quickly kneeled back down, repeating, "Which 2 lines do you want?" The bride began to carefully read through the vows, when suddenly a bridesmaid shouted, "No choice, you have to read the whole thing." The groom stood up and said, "Then I'm leaving." Initially, the guests thought he was joking, and even the bridesmaids playfully joined in. But the mood changed when the groom abruptly tore the vows in half, saying to the bride, "There's no choice. I asked you to pick 2 lines and you refused. If you can't decide, then forget it." The bride and bridesmaids' expressions turned serious, and the atmosphere became tense. The groom continued, "That's it. Are you going to marry me or not?" People began to realize things were not going well, and some tried to mediate, saying, "All right, let's not do this." The video of the incident quickly went viral, sparking mixed reactions from netizens. Some criticized the groom's behavior, accusing him of disrespecting the bride on their big day and questioning how the marriage would fare if he could be so confrontational. Others felt that such issues should have been discussed beforehand, as not everyone would be comfortable with certain vows. As the story gained traction, the majority of online users condemned the groom's actions. However, some offered a different perspective, suggesting the groom's behavior might be understandable. Marriage is a serious commitment, and as the saying goes, promises lightly made are seldom kept. On such an important day, vows should be meaningful, not treated as a joke in front of an audience. Today, it's common for couples to include lighthearted games at their weddings to add some fun, but there's a limit. When the jokes push someone beyond their comfort zone, things can quickly spiral out of control and become uncomfortable. One shared, "I'm a woman, but I support the groom. He seems like a serious person who doesn't make promises lightly." A vow is something you have to follow through on, not just for the sake of it. The bride should have understood his personality. Forcing someone to do something just for the sake of appearances without knowing when to stop isn't right. Many might see this incident as a minor issue that was blown out of proportion, but everyone has a different perspective. For the groom, those vows may have been much more than just words. They might have been guiding principles for his future. Each word carried weight, and he didn't want to make empty promises. This incident highlights the broader topics of vows and promises. Nowadays, many people in China casually say things like "I promise" or "I do" without much consideration. Even if they fail to follow through, they see it as a minor hit to their credibility or just a personal flaw. Some even view promises as tricks to deceive, believing only a fool would take them seriously. However, in traditional Chinese culture, a vow is a deeply serious matter, tied to one's honor and character. It's not just about trustworthiness, it's about following through on commitments. Historically, promises were treated with utmost sincerity, as breaking a vow was seen as a matter of life and death. The bizarre and often outlandish incidents seen at today's weddings are a far cry from pre-communist China, where such scenes would have been unthinkable. Some might point to China's 5,000 years of culture as the root of these behaviors, claiming it reveals a deeply ingrained flaw in Chinese society. But the truth is that these chaotic scenes are a result of the Chinese Communist Party's decades-long efforts to dismantle traditional Chinese values. China was once a center of culture and etiquette, known for virtues like benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness. For centuries, it upheld principles where a promise was as valuable as gold. Ancient Chinese treated vows as matters of great importance, understanding that the way one handles promises could determine their fate. The CCP, which promotes atheism, has made all Chinese citizens swear a toxic oath when joining its party, league, and team organizations, pledging to give their lives and everything they have. Why does it require this? For those who can see the bigger picture, the answer becomes clear.